let's try to figure out what's going to happen this one. I don't know about you. I don't like trying to predict the score. I think usually the numbers you say are pretty arbitrary, but I think we can try to suss out exactly how this one's going to go. So in the most abstract sense, it sounds like when somebody walks in with a very clear guy that they want to funnel the offense through, that the Jaguars aren't going to sell everything out to stop that guy. They're going to let that guy get his yards and hope they can win the game anyways, which, by the way, that's what the Lions did, and it worked out pretty well for them. So that's not as crazy of a strategy as it might seem. But, I mean, is that do I have the right vibe on that with the Jaguars? Is this maybe a game that Justin Jefferson can go get his?
He can get some. They're just a bend but don't break team, and that sounds about right with Jacksonville. I will tell you this: I never expected them to get blown out in any game, and they only got blown out once, and that was on national TV against Buffalo. And then they let it get away from them in London against Chicago. So they're usually their own worst enemy with how they come out of the locker room. I do believe they got a problem, and you're going to notice it. Everyone notices. They rotate their defensive ends after 3 plays. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. You got Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, a guy that has $80 million in guarantees, and the dude that was the number 1 overall pick. And there are times when the other team is driving at critical points of the game, and they're not even on the field. You're going to wonder why. And people just say that's Ryan Nielsen and the way that he does things. But they've pretty much been a bend but don't break team. The problem is when they do break, it's like a dam, and it's hard to stop. And they just let things go on. And for these little stretches that really cost them a whole bunch of games. They've lost 5 games by 5 points or less. That's just who they are.
So is it the kind of game then, the Vikings have gotten out to some really white-hot fast starts this year. If that happens again, the Vikings get up 10-0, 17-0, which has happened a lot. Is it the kind of thing where Jags fans are just turning it off? Or because the Vikings do let teams hang around and crawl back, but you got to be capable of it.
Well, that's a problem then, because if you're going to be a sitting duck for them, the one thing about them, they're scrappy. And
they are scrappy because if you're down 17-0, it's halftime. Maybe you get 1 touchdown at the end and you're 17-7 and you feel it, right? Like I feel like some teams are just still going to feel really bad and just keep getting smoked. And some teams go, no, we got this. Like, is that their character?
Yeah. And this is the good part of that. It's bad that they get behind, and it's bad that they have this big, I use the word variance in how they play. And it's not even from week to week. It's not even from game to game. It's from quarter to quarter. And the thing about that, Luke, is don't get ahead. I told Peter Bukowski this in that same stadium a couple of weeks ago. Green Bay was up 27-17 with the ball. It's like 8 minutes to go, and they're just running the ball. And they got a 3 and out. I texted him, and I said, this is a mistake, because this is exactly what they do. They want you to sit there. Doug Peterson will hold his timeouts until tomorrow, and he will score, and then the defense will get ramped up. If they get the ball back within 2 minutes, they get to go into their 2-minute offense, which they thrive at. So if the Vikings make a tragic mistake in this game, it will be getting out to a fast start and then saying we got them, and looking at their record saying they're 2-7. The next thing you know, the game's going to be tied, because they are that type of team that are capable of doing that. The problem is it takes that motivation for them to be losing in order for them to start playing well, and nobody around here can figure out why they just can't do that from the very beginning. You'll see it. You'll look at their record and go 2-7. And you'll go, they're way better than that. What is wrong? And that's the problem with Doug Peterson and this team right now. And the people in Philly said this is the same thing that happened to him up there after he won the Super Bowl. It's like, it's a head scratcher, because he's a nice guy and you know what they're capable of sometimes, but they just don't always do it.
So Vikings games have been very swingy. You could describe a lot of them, and a lot of them have, right? Very uncreative gamers call it a tale of 2 halves every single week. And if that's where we're at, and the Vikings get off to a hot start, they go into halftime, the Jags crawl back, it ends up being a close game. If the Vikings do pull that game out, and it happens again, right? Oh, nice comeback, moral victory, but fell short. Is that the end for Doug Peterson?
I would think, because they have a game next week against Detroit, no, unless the owner wants to send a message, because they know they're going to get steamrolled against Detroit. And Detroit had to, trust me, and this ain't no slight against Minnesota, but you saw Detroit and you've seen them and you watch them closely.
What they've been doing to everybody.
And how they do it. Teams like that.
You got to go there, right?
Yeah. Teams like that, they're going to come in and they just uppercutting you all day. And it's just like, if you got any flaws, they're going to find them. If you got a weakness, boom, they're going to hit you. So the thing about it is, there's a chance that it happens. I've been looking forward for a couple of weeks, but it hasn't happened. And Shad is slow to fire. He's slow to change. You got to wonder, though, because of Trevor, if he fires Doug Peters, he's going to probably fire Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator. And then you're leaving like Mike McCoy to run the offense, and that's the quarterback's coach. I think they need to make sure.
That is a name I have not heard in a long time.
I know it, right? I know it. It sounds like something from the Hall of Fame, right? But no, Trevor also is banged up now. They went and got CJ Beathard off the practice squad. This is a story that came out.
Old friend.
Yeah, this is a story that came out after I recorded my local, but prior to us recording here. They had to go get Beathard because Trevor didn't even practice today because he has a little bit of an upper body injury. And that some people were speculating that what that is they know they're cooked and it's a PR move. They're going to get hammered. And at least people can say they got hammered while their quarterback isn't out. So we'll keep an eye on that to make sure he's going to be available. But they're banged up at receiver. Christian Kirk is out for the season. Brian Thomas Jr. is ailing a little bit. Gabe Davis has been out. It's just, for me, Travis Etienne hasn't played well, and he's been banged up. And when he wasn't banged up, he wasn't playing well. Just like Murphy's Law, everything that could go wrong does go wrong. I'll tell you this from our perspective. I got a feeling, without predicting a score, Justin Jefferson will be huge. But I think Sam Darnold is going to throw a touchdown to a tight end, and I think Aaron Jones is going to catch a screen pass and take it. They have a problem with running backs catching the ball here too.
Oh boy. He does like to do that, although the screens have been kind of weird. That might be a movable force against stoppable object.
Yes, sir.
But we'll see what happens here. I think as it has been with the Vikings for years and years and years, you can be favored by 14 points and it'll still be a close game. Right now, the line at FanDuel is Vikings by 4.5 on the road. Certainly never going to be one to overlook.